society. Joining me now, Representative Joaquin Castro, Democrat of Texas. Congressman, your reaction to the ruling?
Well, like others, I was disappointed. You know, you never want to go to court and lose. But as you mentioned in your opening segment, this was an attorney general and Greg Abbott at the time, who's now governor of Texas, and folks in 25 or 26 other states who were determined to court shop and find a judge that they were pretty sure would rule in their favor. And so this is an injunction. Hopefully the Fifth Circuit will put a stay on that injunction. But it was not a ruling on the merits at all. And so I think in the end, whether it's at the Fifth Circuit or if this case finds its way to the Supreme Court, the president's actions will be upheld.
The states, the plaintiffs in this case are saying the president doesn't have the authority to do that, that basically that they did not take proper care to allow for commenting in the manner that is required by a federal statute that makes sure that regulations have to be promulgated. Do those arguments hold water with you, or do you think this is entirely a bad faith political exercise?
No, I think what you see now is that Republicans are trying to use the courts to do their dirty work. And the reason I say that is because if you think of the civil rights era, for example, Brown versus Board of Education, all of that work was to get the courts to confer rights upon people, to honor rights in the Constitution. What you see today is Republicans repeatedly going to court and trying to take rights away from people, whether it's this example with immigrants, on gay marriage, marriage equality, and on other issues. And so I think that because they can't, in this case, even among themselves, come to an agreement on immigration, they're having the court do their work for them. And so it's a very cynical ploy.
Well, my question to you, though, is there's some precedent here. There's this lawsuit against the Affordable Care Act, which the Supreme Court is going to hear. When that started, King versus Burwell, people said there's not much to this legally. And lo and behold, here we have it before the Supreme Court. Do you see this as an indicator of how hard they are going to fight, scratch and claw to do whatever they can to make sure this does not happen?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question that they're going to fight it every step of the way. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think the advocates and the administration needs to be prepared for that. And I think if you listen to Eric Holder, they are prepared for that. And also, Chris, I think that we shouldn't lose in all of this debate the fact that we're dealing with the lives of human beings here. The expanded DACA that was put on hold today would affect the lives of hundreds of thousands of young people who were brought here through no fault of their own, had no choice in coming to the United States, and many of them are, for the most part, just as American as any of us. And so there are real human lives at stake here, and it's disappointing to see Republicans go after these young people and go after their parents. This will lead, if DAPA is treated the same way, this will lead to more deportations. It will lead to more families being separated, more parents being separated from their young children, and more children who had no choice in coming here being deported.
But Republicans would say, fine, you want to pull on heartstrings, Mr. Bleeding Heart, then pull on heartstrings. But the president said 22 times, that's the line John Boehner has been using and others, the president said he couldn't do this, that he did not have the authority, and then he turned around and did it.
Yeah, no, he went back and he examined the legal record and his legal ability to do so and made a decision to take this executive order. And, you know, over 230 legal scholars from across the political spectrum, both liberal and conservative, have said that the president acted within his authority. Similar challenges, Joe Arpaio, for example, challenged these actions before his case was thrown out. And I'm confident that whether it's now with the Fifth Circuit or eventually with the Supreme Court, this case will be resolved in the same way.
Briefly, Congressman, does this affect the calculation on Capitol Hill where there is an impasse over funding DHS precisely over this issue? It occurs to me this gives Republicans a way to retreat or to back out of a corner they've painted themselves into and just say, well, we're going to go ahead and fund DHS because the courts have now put a stop to this.
Yeah, you would think that that makes the most sense, but they haven't always done the most rational thing. I think they could go two ways here. I think they could take the tack that you've described and say, hey, we don't need to do this because the court's going to take care of it. But I suspect what's more likely to happen is that the Steve Kings of the world, and they often take their marching orders on immigration from people like Steve King, those guys will go back into the Republican conference and say, listen, we told you so. We were right on this issue, and you better not give in to Democrats or the president on this. I would bet based on what I've seen in my past 2 years of service, and how they've treated this issue before, I would bet that that's more likely the route they take than the one that you've described.
Congressman Joaquin Castro, thank you very much.